One. Good afternoon, everybody. It's Friday afternoon and I'm coming live, well, not recorded, from my dining room in Cambridge. Today, I've got with me Sabrina Malik, who's up in Southport, and I've got Sam Watkinson, who's in Ashbourne, Derbyshire. Now, in case you're not aware or you haven't necessarily come across either of these people, I would be surprised since they've both been in the nail industry for 25 years. So back in 1994, I believe, both of them trained in beauty therapy and swiftly both moved into nails. So taking Sabrina Malik has been a sales and brand manager for the Easy Flow Nail Systems. She's been a senior therapist at Ragdale Hall. She's been a nail tech for 25 years. She's been a judge, educator, has been on session teams, and has been a magazine contributor on all the magazines that I've worked on, right through from Nails Plus to the Middle East to Scratch magazine. And what's quite exciting about Sabby, she's done something quite unusual in the nail industry, because back in 2003, our industry had its first ever reality TV show called The Salon, which was hosted in London. And Sabby came out as the employee of the series and won it. So that was a truly exciting thing. And I do remember back then when Sabby was on, it was wonderful to watch. So welcome, Sabrina.
Thank you, Alex Fox.
Welcome. And then Samantha Watkinson. So Sam, again, has been doing nails for 25 years, a trained beauty therapist who has been a college lecturer. We've just lost Sam for a moment, but that's cool. She'll be back. She's an international educator, international judge. She's been a consultant for Habia, consultant for City and Guilds. She's been an education manager across brands, nail brands, an international verifier and assessor, and she's an examiner and principal moderator for City and Guilds, and has also been on session teams. Now, what's interesting about Sam and Sabrina is loads of their journey has actually been intertwined. So of the 25 years, they have journeyed professionally around the world, session teaming, working on the same nail brands, of which they've both worked on many. And naturally, that has led to a very close professional relationship and a very close and long-standing personal relationship as well. Yeah. And what's lovely about this is that since I've been in the industry nearly 22 years, I met both of them very early on in my career, and I've journeyed pretty much 20 years of their journey with them as well. And this has found us. I'm just bringing Sam back into the fold. There we go.
So she hasn't heard any of that.
So what's rather lovely is the three of us have found ourselves moving around the world in different nail competitions, exhibitions. We have some great stories from a time we spent in Las Vegas for the early nail Olympics over there, Slovenia, when we went to a Slovenian nail competition, all sorts of things that we've journeyed with. So we all have a very shared, long, professional and personal journey together. So I thought it'd be nice to chat about where we've been, or certainly where these guys have been, some of the stories and highlights of their career, and what's meant a lot to them and what supported them along the way. So I'm going to open with a question, which I'll throw at you guys, is, so do you want to just talk about where it all started? You know, back in the 90s, where did it all start and what was important? And what was your impression of the nail industry back then, when it was very embryonic?
Sabby, are you starting?
I'll start if you want me to, Samantha. For me, obviously coming from the beauty therapy background, full therapist, trained, obviously felt very proud of the industry that I was going into. But there was always something in there for me that I found quite exciting about nails. And in my day, back in our day, should I say, our day, nails was just an extension with a bit of this powder, a bit of this liquid, and some foil, like well, now I know it's called a form, but then people were just extending nails, and it was just like, how? Wow, exciting. So the nail industry was always a little bit exciting to me, even though I was very focused on beauty therapy. I had a little bit of a part-time job myself in a nail salon locally in Mughal, where I live, or where I was brought up. And going to college and doing this whole professional white uniform thing with the white tights and the white shoes and etc., etc. Working in this salon part-time with these amazing, vibrant women and girls and obviously technicians, I just found them hip-hop, man. You know, it was like, I want to have a bit of that. I really want a bit of that. But obviously the focus was there. But nails just was exciting for me personally. And the fact that you could just create this then with one product. And I believe that obviously we know it came from the dentist industry, was very interesting. And, you know, we were pounding out these nails. The music was on. It was lively. People were chatting. And I just thought the nail industry for me was something that I always wanted to be part of. But obviously I followed my journey. I was like that particular, like that typical sort of geeky kind of therapist who went to every show, read every magazine that was out there. I thought, because at the end of the day for us, educating yourself, knowledge was power. But I just wanted to know who was what was what, even if it didn't have anything to do with me. I just wanted to know. And that's when obviously I moved away. I started my journey at Ragdale. But toward the end of that sort of like pull for the nail industry was there. And for me, am I going on a little bit, Als, or is it okay?
No, this is fascinating. No, carry on. I'm really enjoying hearing how your impression, because obviously you're talking about the mid-90s. It's a long time ago, honey, and it's really nice.
It wasn't popular.
You're talking about a vibrant, you know, talking about passion and vibe and energy, and I'm loving it. So carry on, keep telling me more.
And for what I got from the nail industry was like the next thing best for the hair industry, because it had that sort of vibe, you know, that it was fashion led, it was colourful, it was loud, a bit like myself. However, you know, for me, I obviously was wanting to be true to myself. So that's why, as I said, I focused on the whole beauty thing. But when I sort of went into the whole beauty thing, it was very calm. It was very, very professional, which is absolutely perfect. But I don't know, I just wanted to do something different. So
I think the nail industry always came across as a bit more relaxed.
It was then. I mean, I'm not condoning it now, but I mean, when I worked in that salon as this young, impressionable girl, I mean, these women were queuing up to get these nails done. I mean, then, Sam, Alex, the nails were like doorstops. They were like thick bricks, but I swear to God,
Trouble the garden.
Love them. And then the poor women then, they used to wait and get I mean, we even had Constant Carroll. Do you remember Constance Carroll from the chemist? You used to buy polishes. The polishes were just all whatever they were. And then if you had OPI, then you were like classed as something elite, because OPI was one of the main leading lacquers that obviously was profound then. But it was obviously, if you trained with OPI, then you were quite a prestigious nail technician. And that's when I realized OPI stands for Orthodontic Professional Industries, which then led me on to being interested in, where does everything come from? Where does product come from? But that was another start. That was then. So I did my whole little beauty therapy journey, came back, and then I thought, no, I've got to get into this. So I did a little course in nails. Because I was a beauty therapist, I felt that I was able to do those few-day courses that were out there at the time. I mean, I did a one-day star nails course when I was training, and I enjoyed using the brush, the powder, the liquid, because for me, I was quite artistic in myself. I mean, when I was at school, my art teacher said to me, Sabrina, I think you should be an art teacher. And I was like, no, I don't want to be a teacher, but maybe I should have now, because the holidays are good. But however, I literally did these little courses along the way, but I also had obviously the underpinning knowledge of what any nail technician should really have, because I did beauty therapy, you know, the skin, the contraindications, the health and safety. So you felt quite proud to extend your skill set by doing these courses. As time went on, I went to, obviously, as I said to you, Als, I read every magazine. And it was the day I read Nails Plus magazine, which you worked on.
Yeah.
And flicking through, as you do, reading everybody, who's this person, what do they do, what's this product. I mean, it was quite dominated by the beauty industry, most of the magazines. So when Nails Plus came out, it did give that little bit of a platform for nails.
Yeah.
And the brands then are still going today. Do you know what I mean? And the companies that started those brands. So it's, for me personally, it's amazing to have seen, and I'm sure for you as well. But I just came over this one little page and I was like, oh, wow. Because I was always intrigued by the fact that you could just extend something from the nail. But I also always felt, could we make it look maybe a little bit prettier, a little bit more flush? But that's what nails were. They were just big, long things, colour on it. People were just happy they stayed on, if they stayed on. And when I saw this particular advertisement about come and see this person at professional beauty in Manchester, GMEX, October, because there was always a show in Manchester for me, because I was up north, because everything predominantly was down in London, so it was quite hard to get to most of the time.
Yeah.
And I saw this advertisement and I saw the most beautiful nail, Alex. It was a pink and white nail, which I thought we did pink and white, because when pink and white was introduced, that was another story. Do you know what I mean? When it came to actually trying to apply 2 types of acrylic on the nail, then trying to master that smile line and trying to get it on within the hour and a bit that you had to do a set of nails. I mean, seriously,
So who was it, Sab? Tell us. Who was it? Who was doing...
The person that I was wanting to see was the greatest, Tom Holcomb.
So he was in Manchester way back then doing So he was he doing a class, or was he on somebody's
So he was going to be on this stand with this company that I had no clue from, using a product called Easy Flow, which was spelled EZ, which was mad. So Easy Flow Nail Systems. So all I knew is that I need to go. By hook or by crook, I went. It was an awful day, the rain. Anyway, literally got there. But in that advertisement that you did, Alex, there was also another little picture underneath the pink and white main picture. And it was this like coloured nails. And it was all like, it almost looked like somebody printed a picture on the nail. It was 3D effect. And I was like, is that acrylic? Or is that just painted? What is it? I swear I never saw something so beautiful. And don't forget, then we never had Photoshop and all that kind of stuff. We just had what you got.
Yeah.
Anyway, GMEX there, October, literally tried to find this stand wherever it was. And there was this crowd. I was like, whoa, what's going on? And I saw him and it was almost like seeing an angel. It was.
He did have that effect, didn't he? He had that effect everywhere he went, all around the world. He had that effect of attracting people and literally mesmerising you. I do remember being mesmerised myself many times.
Absolutely mesmerised. That was an understatement. I mean, besides him being quite good looking as well, he was a good looking man, wasn't he? However...
He was a very good-looking man with a beautiful personality and the most incredible skills we've ever seen.
And I'll always remember how he sat. He sat with his legs crossed, because he always sat on the side with his legs crossed. And then when he picked up his brush, it was just so beautiful. I mean, what he did with liquid and powder, I couldn't even write it. I could actually, but I just fell in love, Al. I just fell in love. And I fell in love, and I know this sounds all very gooey and wooey, but that's just me anyway. If you guys know me, so I'm a bit of an emotion person and a bit of but you know what? That's the day I thought I want to do or be part of something that looks so damn exciting. And however I need to go there, I'll do whatever I need to do. And it is a bit of effort, it is a bit of luck. And Do you know what? Next thing I knew, I was actually working for Easy Flow Nail Systems. I travelled, and then it was based in Bolton, working with some amazing people. And the next person that I obviously got to meet, which was only really kind of at the initial stage of his education journey and a bit of an icon in this industry.
Another favourite, I think you're going to say.
Well, I think he's absolutely one of your favourites, Alex.
Definitely.
I think you've got a little soft spot for him, Anthony Buckley.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. It's funny you bring that up, Sabby, actually, because my very first interview that I did in the nail industry, I can't remember the year, but I'm imagining it was either 98 or I joined the industry in 98. So I think it was early 99. I went to Coventry and my first face-to-face interviews were Tom Holcomb and Anthony Buckley. To this day, I remember, because my feeling was, after I interviewed those two men, and for me, I'd come out of working on photography magazines as a journalist for 7 years, met those two men, drove home that day thinking, my goodness, if this is what people are like in the nail industry, I'm bloody staying. Simple as, what a day. I felt that I'd, slam dunk that day. I was so inspired, and I was so taken with both of them and what they were doing, their personalities, their personas, their gentleness and their skills. Beautiful men doing beautiful things. So yeah, I completely feel the vibe there, Sab.
And it was quite a very young industry then as well. I mean, I know it went on prior to that, but it was the start of new innovative products like coloured acrylics. New products were coming into the country that people had never heard of before, which excited me, because obviously you had big brands out there that have big presence, like can I say the names?
Of course you can, absolutely.
OPI, Creative Nail Design, and you had big people that work with those brands, amazing people as well. Do you know what I mean? And because I followed anything, I didn't feel biased, but obviously because I kind of was drawn to this product brand because possibly the person, but it's through. I
think you buy into people though, don't you? And I think when they have amazing skills and they have an ability to nurture naturally, then you kind of get drawn into that and you want to be part of the family.
But
the nail industry is a family.
Sam, that is an incredibly important point you make there, because one thing we know for sure is we have had a series of characters. It's an industry of characters and creativity, and you can be whoever you want in this industry, and you're not deemed as a little bit weird or a bit off.
No,
the more you not at all. And I think both of us, all three of us, but us as nail technicians as well, coming from that side of the line, really, that because we were that nail technician, and like I said it just before, the person before the people is the nail tech. That's what inspires me to actually do the job and to actually execute that job. But in order to execute that job, there's roads that you need to take, and that is the journey of education, but delivering education, because you can expand on that, Sam, because do you agree, you might know how to do a good nail, but to teach a good nail is too different.
And have the ability to get that message across, absolutely, to all walks of life, all nationalities. I mean, being fortunate enough to travel and educate has been amazing. It's taught me a lot.
Sam, do you mind if I just pop in here and say, I know a cheeky little story about you that I find really fascinating. Is I know that you found yourself many moons ago getting off a plane in South Korea, in Seoul, and found yourself in what can only be described as the most incredible and freaky boot camp imaginable to man. For 2 weeks, weren't you there? And expand on what happened there, because it sounds like something quite scary but quite brilliant at the same time.
So Trang took me under his wing, who owns Odyssey Nail Systems, and he was one of my inspirational guys and kind of took me in a different direction on my nail journey, I suppose. And he decided that it would be amazing for me to go and spend time over in Korea with some of his top educators and amazing talented crew. It wasn't what I was expecting at all. I literally got off this plane to nobody waiting for me, and after a few hours this little Korean lad kind of picked me up, bundled me in a car, and looking back, I mean, really anything could have happened to me. Couldn't speak a word of English.
He was scared of you, Sam, anyway, so I think he thought you were all right.
Well, probably the state I looked getting off that plane, yeah. And basically took me to a shopping centre with this nail bar in the centre of it, surrounded by food, clothes and all sorts, and basically told to practice my pink and white. And that's pretty much all I did. No one spoke a word of English. To try and communicate to them to call home took me 72 hours. My husband actually rang Grafton's, who I was working for at the time, and rang the British Embassy to see if they could help him to find where I was, because I disappeared off the face of the earth for 3 days.
And the thing is the difference between then and now, but the difference between then and now is that in those days when we travelled, because I also found myself in South Korea back in 2004, where I went over for an event. And in those days, we didn't travel with mobile phones, did we? So we found
it was like a faith. We had faith in people.
We did. We would travel. We would find ourselves in a situation where there was no way that you could actually communicate with the people back home, and everyone just accepted it. Well, clearly your husband didn't. I think mine just accepted it at the time.
Oh, she's gone. It'll be fine.
And I was 9 weeks pregnant in Seoul, thinking, goodness me, kimchi's not really working for me. Moldy cabbage when you're pregnant, ouch.
Not great. Not knowing what you're not eating. I did have a bag of Haribos, which kind of saved the day, which was pretty good. But yeah, but they were very accommodating. I mean, I stayed in this girl's flat, although their work ethic is so different to ours. They are literally up in the middle of the night, the crack of dawn. It's practice, practice, practice. And that was it. And it was kind of, they would just leave me. And then somebody would come and pick me up. And then I'd end up going back to the shopping mall and spending hours making beads and practicing my smile lines and stuff. And, you know, to actually sit and watch them work, though, was incredible, because they are so skilled.
Yeah.
Such a skilled group of people.
I came back from South Korea back then. I came back with a completely different view and perspective on skill sets and design, because what they were doing with colour acrylics and what have you. I found it an absolutely fantastic experience to go to Korea and see what was going on there. And the photography, at that time, Miwon Kim was producing huge volumes every year of photographic work from all the people she trained. And back then it was sincerely fantastic. So I know that I came back with a much wider perspective and deeper perspective, and it really inspired. And I imagine you came back with a hell of a skill set as well.
Completely. Absolutely. I mean, as much as I focus very much on pink and white, which helped me in my competition side of things and the judging side of things. I mean, from Korea, I flew into Vegas and competed in the Olympics. So it was all a bit crazy madness, to be honest.
That is a trip and a half, isn't it,
Sam? It was a bit of a trip and a half, yeah.
I think that's the one where we were all in Vegas for that one, weren't we? That was my inspiration for, if that was 2004, that was my inspiration to
What's that 2004, Sam?
It was for me.
No, because I'd been out, I think I'd been out quite a few times, because
no, I think when you competed for the one that you're talking about, that wasn't it. It was the year after that, when I joined, when we got together, that's when we flew out to Vegas. Myself, Sarah, Anthony Buckley, and Alex, you were there with Scott, and it was just, what a trip that was.
We were all in the stratosphere, and it was it was an exception. Those, you know, we
when you travel, it's quite nice to see people from home. Isn't that weird?
Definitely. And we and the bonds we've made over the years by having these great shared experiences. And then obviously my inspiration to ask if I could bring, it was called the Nail Olympics then, to the UK, so that I ran the first one in May 2005. And that, of course, oh my goodness, that one had the likes of Tom Holcomb, Tom Bajik, Alicia Romando, Anthony Buckley, David Fowler, Stephanie Fowler. The list goes on for the incredible.
And we were all supportive of that, because that was like,
it was all the brain.
Yeah, it was amazing.
All on one floor doing liquid and powder.
All the companies exhibited, all the companies that advertised, you know, the buzz around that arena then, I can honestly still feel it, because obviously I was a brand manager then, and that was my job role, slightly shifted away from the actual what Sam does and doing the stuff it was all about the product. It was all about bringing it all together, because that was my job then, having to get everyone over, set the stands up, make sure that product's there to sell, because those people were going to do their stuff and we need to have enough product to get it out there. Do you know what I mean?
But it took competition to a completely different level for everyone in the UK, because we were so used to seeing trade shows where they were just literally UK techs at various levels. It kind of took it to a completely different level and brought people from around the world together.
It was incredible, because when I brought it, when I started it, initiated it, it was because I felt that we could do something just a little bit different from the nail competitions that existed.
You've always been different, Al. You've always brought that edge.
I wanted to change it up a bit. What I couldn't have known was that so many of the greats around the world would sign up and fly in for it. And that was, for me, that still remains one of the momentous milestones in my career in the nail industry, is that people just trusted that it would be, because that was the first Olympia Beauty as well for the company that I work with, my team. First Olympia Beauty, first Nail Olympia, and it was supported by the established fantastic brands and the top skill sets around the world at the time. It was absolutely phenomenal, and still remains as a very precious part of my journey, for sure. So anyway, gosh, that was all. That's so much to talk about. So what do you? I mean, so we've talked about your greatest inspirations. Is there anybody else out there? We've talked about the Trangs and the Antonys and the Toms. Any other inspirational people or countries or events that we can think about that changed our paths? Or,
do you know what, Els? I've kind of, every opportunity I've had, I've embraced it, because I've learned something different from it. And that's probably my big, I think, because I am like a little sponge and I love to learn. And I think that's taken me, I mean, going back to school, I used to always be kicked out of my chemistry classes because I never paid attention. But coming into the actual industry, I love the chemistry side of it. So anyone I can listen to that I learn something from. So yes, Trang from an artistic point of view and a skill point of view. And yes, he did help me with chemistry, but, you know, Jimmy McConnell's and the Doug Shoons and all of these different people, I mean, I read, I listen, I learn, and if I don't know it, I go and find out about it, because that is just me, and that's always been me since the moment I came into the industry. From my little one-day course that I did to introduce nails into the salon, I knew there was something more to it, and I had to find out about that, and that's kind of led me into the teaching and the education side of it. And going to different countries and working with all different people has given me experiences that I've taken away and has developed me as a business person, as a nail technician, as an educator. You know, even now, the lockdown, I've been spending my time on Madge's chat show and picking stuff up, and because it's brought it back to the forefront, because we have time towards
We do,
their
and that's
stuff.
Sam. That's an interesting highlight you bring there, because obviously all three of us have been following the Mad Chat show, which was started by Marion Newman literally on the 24th of March, I believe, the day after lockdown.
Brilliant.
Because Marion wanted to give a platform to ease people's anxieties and concerns and worries, because we are an anxious bunch in our nail industry, and we. And not only that, we really didn't know what was about to happen or what was happening to us. It was a difficult time. But I will say that what's fascinating about how that show has evolved, or that page on Facebook, is that every topic imaginable to man has now been covered. Marion has interviewed a plethora of people across the industry from all different areas, from ventilation, masks, Doug Shune, all sorts of people, Jan Arnold, everyone you can think of, Linda Nordstrom. She's gone and found people, and then she's gone and labelled everything, put them in topics. She's got risk assessments from Hazel Dixon. I mean, there is nothing. If you've got
she hasn't covered,
if you have a question in the nail industry right now, it is definitely the spot to go. And it is a closed. Well, I just quickly mention here, it's a closed group. You need to request to join, and if you're a nail professional, you get invited in straight away. But I will just highlight that Marion Newman has done a game changer for us as an industry. She's put everything in one place. We're all watching it all the time. Anyone that's wanting current, topical and serious information about opening up after lockdown, everything that needs to be done, Marion is our spot, isn't she?
Absolutely. And I think it's highlighted the standards that have always been there, that have been there by professionals, but not always. I think sometimes it's quite easy for salons to get a bit complacent and shortcut it a little bit. So I think it's brought it back to the forefront, and I really hope that it drives our industry
in the right direction.
The respect and the hard work, and brings all of those standards back to the forefront again, to actually make the professionals thrive, and those that don't fall by the wayside.
It's interesting you say that, Sam, because I know that Marion highlighted the other day, and I've heard her highlight this on more than one occasion, that the guidelines that are on the British Beauty Council that she co-wrote have always been around. They're not guidelines that were written the other day. They've actually been in existence for years. Just that, like you say, fallen to the wayside. And now it's like, come on, everybody, let's get our standards up. Let's operate in hygienic fashion, and care for the nail, care for the client, care for yourself. So this is it's just interesting
to gain some respect for our industry as well, from the consumers right the way through to actually the buds that want to come in the industry today. It's not just about painting a nail and shoving a bit of acrylic on a nail. There's so much more to it, and it's the important stuff to it that makes us different.
Sorry, Sam. This is where I think go from Marion, when you just went back to like who else inspires, who else, because it, like Sam rightly said, and I totally agree with her, and that's why we made probably a really good partnership from what she said about herself, because I was on the flip side of her coin, which was more the networking, the people, the meeting, the greeting, the presenting to a certain degree, even though I got very...
We're the yin and the yang.
Yeah, completely. But along that journey, besides obviously the likes of the Tom Holcombs, the Tom Baychecks, when I first entered that beauty arena, the beauty industry, as far as the professional side, going to those trade shows, I always felt the buzz of all the different stands, etc. But then being in it for my first major shows, I mean, I can just roll a list of people that I just totally admire, totally respect, from every different brand, company, because they all have contributed to the successes of this industry. Marion being one of them, because not only is she an absolutely knowledgeable woman, an experienced woman, and what she's doing today for us, or for everybody within the UK and beyond, you know, she's also excelled her career in different avenues, like took nails to another level in the consumer world, the fashion world, which excites me totally. And we had the experience of working with her on London Fashion Week. And you know, these little experiences you just can't buy. No amount of money can buy these experiences to work with these people you just embrace. But look at the knowledgeable side. So she's just not somebody who paints a nail, as Sam says. None of us are. None of those true professionals are.
True story.
That's where the respect needs to come in, because that's when I go back to what I said initially. After being in the salon myself for the last 9 years, I all hail the true nails technician, because I was also sucked in by the sales, the product, the performance, get it into that particular place. But when you sit behind that desk day in and day out, having all that knowledge that you should be having, investing in your education to be the better person to provide for your clients, to use the top products, or when I say good, you know, industry standard products, buying it through the correct channels. This is all part and parcel of the true nail technician that works day in, day out.
But it's these people as well that are also protecting our industry for the future.
Yeah, absolutely, guys, because there's an interesting thing. Obviously, we all know that one of the things we are battling with all the time, and have for some time now, is the copy gel polishes and the cheap gel polishes that end up on eBay and across the internet. And you can buy a set of gel polishes and a lamp for $26.99. And people are buying into that idea, not thinking about the health issues, the insurance implications, the fact that you know, I don't know how many times Doug Schoon has to tell us that the lamp has to correspond with the products.
Yeah.
I mean, that poor man has been saying this for so many years now, and it's really not hitting home enough that if you have a lamp you've brought from here and a gel polish range from here and you put them together, they haven't got any relationship whatsoever, and you are asking for trouble. And so I like that we're recognizing here that the industry professionals that have afforded change, that have been driving our industry through education, correct education, serious attitude and perspective, and just driving it for years and years and years. Some of these people have been around for 30 years now, still trying to afford change. And unfortunately, it is a shame when you get these cheap products on eBay and they're inviting to certain people.
It's disheartening for the product brands, I'm not going to lie.
Very disheartening.
Because, you know,
we always battled with that, even when we were doing it.
Hang on, just the distribution side of things. These companies have invested their time and their money, number one.
And they're chemists. They're proper. They've got chemists. They've got manufacturing behind them. They've got the information.
They're bringing them in all the appropriate channels and investing in our actual country. So into the advertising, into the sales channels, into the sales representation. And then it's so disheartening. We can talk like that from first hand, but as a brand manager myself, when I used to manage product, if I just happened to, and it was only in the later years that when eBay started to become famous. And I mean, God, we spent more of our time trying to see, well, can we close that down? Can we close this down? It was so time consuming and so disheartening because, and I get, look, we've become a nation to buy off the internet, even me now with this Amazon situation. However, you know, when you're trying to do something correctly and people are just like, slicing it underneath you, it's just so disheartening. And like you say, we can all watch a YouTube video, oh, that's how you put on a product. Absolutely. And don't get me wrong, fabulous, and you might have a natural artistic skill so you can do it at home, but one day just something may just go wrong on you because of the allergies, because of the condition, like you say, because of the lamp. Even if you did say use another lamp, there's appropriate curing times for different products in order to relate to certain things. So unless you all have all that underpinning knowledge, you're just going to cause such a disaster in the future. And that's where
we know that gel polish is a professional product. It is not a consumer product. So therefore, if you're going to go and buy your gel polishes off eBay, you haven't got SDS sheets.
No.
You haven't got the professionalism behind that. You've literally got a product in a bottle that you don't know what you're doing with, and you don't actually know what it is. And that's what terrifies me.
But it's the perception of our industry still, because people just think we paint nails and it's easy, and it's not. And yet it is the perception. It's that perception that we're not that bright.
It's a shocking perception, and as we spoke earlier. As there's
people like Samantha and Samuel who've gone out there, consumer, Marion, they're sort of changing the face of that, the Georgie Smedleys, you know, those kind of people. Yeah. And then you've got like, because in the hair always seemed to be up there, didn't it? And we always used to seem to be a bit of the poor relation, didn't we?
We're the second cousin.
Yeah, and because you had like, you know, hairdressing. When did hairdressing become so amazing? I mean, look at some of the stuff on the internet. I must admit, I have enjoyed watching people's skill sets. It's unbelievable what they can just do with their hands. But like Vidal Sassoon was the one that drove our industry, and you know, then you had Tony and Guy, and who else? I mean, God, Beverly Cabela. You had these UK and obviously national
dynamic entrepreneurs and innovators. Absolutely.
But when you listen to them, they're so intelligent. Their business, I mean, to be a business person and to be a beauty or nail person or hair person was quite a difficult balance for a lot of people, because the normal, and me included, I was not naturally a business person. Even though I wanted to be a business woman, I didn't quite know what that entails. All I knew is that I knew how to make some money when I file some nails or when I open my mouth. However, to actually run a business successfully, actually do the job, and to actually be a customer person, oh my God, that skill set is
massive. It's massive, Sab, definitely. Well, guys, obviously we've been living through the COVID-19 crisis, and had the bit of a blow a couple of days ago when we found out that nail salons aren't opening on the 4th of July, but we live in hope that we're not far behind, and that we hope to see nail salons opening across the nation in the very near future. So what do you think post lockdown, what do you think the landscape of our industry is going to look like, guys?
I think this has brought, I hope that this has brought the health and safety element to the forefront again. I hope it's reminded people. I think the professionals out there have taken it above and beyond. I think those that maybe cut a few corners, it's brought it to the forefront.
That's course.
And hopefully they will start and implement those things to raise their standards. And actually, I think it's hopefully made the actual client and the consumer more aware of health and safety, to help them hopefully choose a nail tech or a nail salon that can deliver that. To help them make the right decisions.
To change our industry, help push it in the right direction, because what the consumer desires does push. And you're right, if we have consumers walking in the salon saying, I want to see XYZ, I've been doing my research, I'm awakened, I'm a bit more aware, I understand a little bit more about what's going on, then people are going to have to step up to deliver that. So I think
also as well, that will help these people have a little bit more respect for us as well, and realise how much hard work it is to be doing this day in, day out.
I like
and pay for the quality, rather than expecting the £15 a set, £20 a set, in and out job done.
Yeah, that's a fair point, Sam. So actually, Sam, staying on the subject, because I know this is your field, how do you feel, because it's a topic that's a recurring topic in this industry, and I'd like your take on it. How do you feel the college education that we have across the UK could be improved?
It's a bit, do you know what, it's a real vicious circle, because we can sit here and we can say that curriculums need updating and so forth, and yeah, to a degree they probably do. But if you specialise in a field in your educating it, then you will use them as a guidance and deliver the information that's current to your students. I think having travelled around, going into various colleges with my role with Sitting Guilds, you've got exceptional nail tutors out there that specialise in that area, and unfortunately I think we're few and far between. But I think that's had a knock-on effect because the funding's not there, and the learning hours, the number of learning hours that students get isn't there anymore because the money's not there. So it's a bit of a vicious circle.
It is,
from what I've seen, and it saddens me, really. It makes me quite sad in a bizarre sort of a way, because I know that these girls, students that are leaving those establishments,
don't feel ready,
aren't fully informed, to be honest, and that is kind of my perception. How you change that? Same with anything, money.
So it is the funding. It does come down to money.
It does come down to funding. It comes down to the changes in qualifications. You've got all different levels and all different standards. How do you standardise something when you have VRQs, MVQs, technical qualifications all being offered across various establishments across the country? You can't really, truly.
This has been a fighting battle for us for most of my career within the nail industry, and I think Sam's as well. And I think, like you remember rightly, Alex, how Jackie Jeff had felt about the education side of this.
Yeah, she's always been
my number one go-to as far as listening to about the real passion. I mean, she took it to another level when she obviously offered, what was it, Sam Petals and she helped write the MVQs originally. To enable, because we're not an academic bunch of people, so the whole MVQ system helped us going into these more creative things, because they were marked and you gained your qualification through more practical skill rather than the academic route. The government has wanted to change that back again by the introduction of technical qualifications, which is exam driven. But establishments will take on various qualifications depending on what funding they get.
Yeah.
And then, if the funding's not there, then they've got to make the job cuts. And then you've got those that maybe specialise in the beauty side of things being told they've got to deliver a nail course. And if they haven't got those skill sets, then they go on a course in a summer holiday and then expected to deliver it. How does that work?
I mean, essentially, because obviously this is a problematic area then, is that we've got to be hoping that nail professionals out there that want to take it all seriously and maybe have that start, that they carry on with their CPD, that they continue to go to the brands that we know do absolutely, there's some brands out there do exceptional education that has been being written for the last 30 years, that has been updated and changed along the way with the innovations and techniques that have evolved. I'm guessing we need the nail professional to take hold of their educational journey at this point in time, while we hope that college education catches up at some point with its own evolution, is I'm guessing that the solution at this, as we sit here right now, then.
Yeah, but I think even if you look at the private side of things, you have got those companies out there that offer exceptional courses that deliver all of that important underpinning knowledge, but then you've got your online courses that you can sit and watch a video. Yeah. Or you've still got your 1-2 day courses out there. We know, because that's how I started. I knew that wasn't enough to be able to do my job to the best of my abilities safely and build a business on it. So I think also we have to install into people that they've got to get off their own backs and go and also find information. If they're determined enough, They've got to go and do it and find it.
It is out there, and and you could start with Doug Schoon's books, his face-to-face interviews.
Oh my God, they're amazing.
There's so much out there. It's true, and it's easy to access as well, isn't it?
Well, this is it. Yeah, even the internet.
Yeah,
it's there. The knowledge is there. You've just got to go and find it.
I think it's like we rightly said before, it's about actually understanding who to go to. And if you don't read your magazines, your nail magazines, who platform these people, whoever they may be, who are making differences in the industry, because the information is there and the companies are out there. Do not feel afraid to call them. But the thing is, once you start looking and educate yourself, actually he does that, she does that, blah blah blah, not just about actually how to do the nail, but like you say, there's massive, more than we had, let's be honest. More information. So it's up to you to take that interest, subscribe to those magazines, subscribe online to those things, because I'll be honest, I've always believed in stuff like that. I've always done it, you see. So, you know, I'll be honest, I'm probably a bit more guilty of it now, not doing it as much, because you do go into the salon. But if I'm interested in products, I do a little bit of research, or if I'm interested in a person, because now, look at this, we've all got this Instagram, which is a bit mad, and people are doing them lives, and look, we're doing this. I've never done anything like this before, and Zooms and Facebook chats, and I think, oh my God, how people can connect without even touching each other. It's amazing. So we're corona friendly anyway.
Very, very different to
I think though, Sabby, as well, through all of that research, you find who you want to go and invest education with as well. Not just the first thing that pops up on Google, the first course, or the cheapest course. So, you know, it's educating yourself.
And what you want to be part of. What you want to be part of, you know, and there's no right or wrong to a certain degree, but you've got to just follow your own personal journey, you know. And I did mine. I mean, don't get me wrong, I always thought it was going to be OPI. I'm not going to lie. I was like, OPI, because that's who I started with. And I absolutely respect Lena White, what she did with OPI, because obviously I was interested in all that, because you're a geek in the educational world, so I'm a geek in all that sort of world. And so obviously Lena White being a woman doing it in the industry, I was like, yeah, go Lena. And then obviously you had Gigi Roos and, you know, Samantha, and then obviously Sam was there. They made a dynamic duo. And then you had the person that I work with, the Maggie Callahans, and, you know, her husband duo, Jessica,
Lisa.
And then the amazing Lisa Crook, who was like my secret favourites, because that woman was just dynamic for me. I mean, the story of Lisa Crook, we will be here all day, but the fact that she was a woman who had children, a husband who worked away, you know, she started off in the back of her garage with Essie nail varnish. And she was always hungry, she was clear, she was very bold, but she was very straight. But
what you saw is what you got.
What you saw is what you got. But I admired her not only personally, because first of all, I was quite scared of her. But I realised
she was softly underneath.
And I had the pleasure of working very closely to Lisa, and she was one of my friends. I mean, God, she cooked me dinner. She let me also experience things like launching the red carpet manicure product when it first came out. She took me on some of her and Jamie Crook took me on some of the shows that I was able to do.
She was a mummy. She was a mummy.
But she was also about don't take no rubbish, but at the same time be true to yourself. And she was true to herself. And she
very inspiring and insightful. Very good for our industry.
And very sadly missed, but very greatly remembered. Sorry, got a moment.
Okay, well, guys, we're going to have to wrap up shortly because we've nearly been talking for an hour, and I just wanted to close on something that's quite topical in the industry right now. So there's a lot of talk about discrimination and racial equality and inclusivity across the nail industry. I know that makeup, hair, and skincare have been addressing it with some webinars and forums, and they've kind of unearthed that across the media, in the retail, consumer, professional sectors, that there isn't racial equality, and there are some holes in curriculums when it comes to, for example, looking at darker, deeper skin tones, black skin and what have you in the skincare curriculum, what have you. All sorts of things have been discussed, and I just wanted to close on finding out, what is your impression of the last 25 years? Have you found the nail industry to be inclusive and with racial equality, or what has been your impression of our industry?
Are you asking me, Alex Fox?
Yes, that would be good. What do you think, Sab?
Well, of being of colour, lady of colour, God, I've never really given it much thought, to be honest with you, because I personally don't feel anything. What's the word, Sam? I don't feel I suffered anything particularly regarding racism, if you want to say. Yes, if you have to look into it, you obviously realise you were of a minority of the the ethnicity out there, but we are in England. However, when I entered the nail industry, I had Keaton Patel to look up to, who was of an Asian background as well, and he was this amazing character. He was running the nail competition. So, but personally, I don't know about the other industries as such, because obviously nails has been my main focus, but personally, I feel we've been a very open industry to everything from gay to lesbian to colours to pretty much what I feel, everything. Sam, you agree? I mean, I personally
I honestly think we couldn't be in a more diverse industry, to be honest. From the travelling I've done, I've always embraced every culture. They've embraced me, and we've got the Nail Olympics where you've got every nationality. We've got the different sexualities in our industry. We're flamboyant. You can be as introvert as you want. It's accepted. And even from an educational point of view, I know I delivered how to deal with different nail types and different skin tones, different ethnicities. I can never say that word. And then you've also got your regulations as well. So you've got your Equality Act that you have to discuss in education as part of the qualifications. So from my perspective, and it's only my personal opinion, I would say we work in a really diverse industry.
And you've backed that up, Alex. You've backed that up. Scratch Magazine's backed that up for me personally, because again, I'm a bit of an advocate for all that. Because when you launched the Nail Olympics, Al, oh my days, not just the UK was involved, the whole world was involved. And today you have taken the Nail Olympics to other countries, Alex. So those people have invested in our country to come over and themselves. And these are Russian people, European, Polish, Lithuanian. You've got the Eastern Asian people, like the Koreans, the Vietnamese, the Chinese. Americans. We obviously have been quite dominated by America in the early days, because obviously all the product came from America or was developed by big distributors in the US, which I've obviously gone over. I've seen how it's done. But when I went to the US initially, LA and Florida, when I went over, I mean, the amount of nail bars, I can't tell you. I mean, every single corner. It was like how people used to say there was a corner shop over every bloody block here. Nail bars were coming out of everyone's ears. And the majority of people that influenced that nail industry, especially abroad for me, was the Asian community. But the clients also were the Black Americans. They sported the amazing long glitzy nails. I mean, if anything, I know it's a little bit, what's the word, like, on telly it kind of comes across when certain ethnicities do certain things. And the Black American lady loved her long jazzy nails. I mean, that was like what was associated for me with nails then. They were the customer. Mm-hmm. Then you come here, obviously we're England, we're Great Britain. So majority of the people are going to be pretty much British. You know, we can't steer away from that. And, you know, Caucasian, white, whatever you would say. But at the end of the day, you can only represent what is out there, you know. But as far as the actual equality side of our industry, I feel, and being in it as long as I have never felt anything different to the next person.
I think also as well, this comes back to how driven you are as an individual. So, you know, if you go and take opportunities and that door's slammed in your face, you pick yourself up, you brush yourself off, and you crack on and you try another door. It's you know, we've all had disappointments and hardships, but it's how you also approach things and what you want to achieve and what your personal drive is.
Yeah, I mean, on the topic, I mean, just from a perspective of running now 3 magazines in the nail industry, one for 10 years, you know, while I was out in the Middle East for 10 years, I've never excluded. I've never had any exclusion across my desk. So in my world, I've always found us a very inclusive industry. Doesn't matter who you are, what gender you are, whatever you do. It's always been, I've always felt very open and collective, and wanting to work and journey with everybody together. I see us as very unified. So it's nice to hear your perspectives there, guys. Thank you. So I believe, if I check yes, we have been talking for an hour, so we need to close our interview and say thank you. We have covered
my God,
much.
So long. I feel like we're just having a bit of a chat here. This is
we have covered a lot of topiks, a lot of inspiration.
What you wanted, Als? Is it all right?
It's a lovely interview. Thank you, darling. So I'm going to press goodbye. So we all need to say goodbye and thank you very, very much for coming onto the Scratch Forum and talking
about. This is the first time me and Sam have done anything in our sort of industry after what? 13 years, Sam?
Is it that long? God.
13 years, so I've enjoyed it.
So guys, just can you just tell everybody if they want to connect with you by DM or messaging? Sam, how can they get hold of you?
Sam in the Name of Beauty on Facebook and Instagram, as I've sorted that situation out now.
You're called Sam.
Not as professional as you, Sam. I've just got an Instagram, which is what is it? Sab76 Mal, or obviously my name's Sabrina Malik on Facebook. But you know, there's Messenger on there if anyone obviously has any questions or anything.
Okay, great. So people can connect directly.
Thank you very much.
So thank you very much. I wish everybody a happy Friday, and I can see my clouds are coming in, so my thunderstorm is.
Oh, it's on its way.
It's on its way. So everybody have a happy Friday, a good weekend, and see you all soon. And thank you for being guests today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a lovely weekend.
Bye.